Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Mike, and I am a technical evangelist at Forward Networks. Today, we're going to talk about something that plagued me in all aspects of my career, to be honest with you: firewall rule management. Whether you were told by a senior director or manager to, hey, we need to clean up these unruly firewall rules, you should know what's being used or not, right? To my days when I was a consultant, having to audit this massive multi-vendor firewall environment to make sure A, are rules being used, and if rules aren't being used, when was the last time they were accessed so we could potentially start to clean up these firewall rules. It is extremely difficult to do that in a world where you're logging into multiple consoles or logging into multiple web UIs to be able to figure all this stuff out. Wouldn't it be easier if you can just have a one-stop shop to see it all? I know I would have. Let's jump into Forward App and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we're looking at a deployment, and let's just say we wanted to spot check one particular firewall. You can either drill down to the location where that firewall is, like this, and you can see the security rules table where we can point out and show you exactly when that rule was last used, hit count, and all that. Or if you're back on the map, you could actually just search for one. And then same thing, we can come through, look at that security rules table, and then we can see what the rules look like when they were last used, what was the hit count from this particular snapshot. Now that's good and all, but what if you wanted a more automated view? What if you had a specific policy that you were looking for and you wanted to run that across your multi-vendor environment? There has to be an easier way to do that. And that's where our network query engine, or NQE, comes in. When we take in all the config and state data, we take it and we normalize it and we put it into a data model that you could then interact with. What we also get from that state information is exactly what you're seeing here when the firewall rule was created, last used, and last modified. So if we jump into NQE, we have a built-in one that says firewalls with unused security rules. Now this is looking at two things. It's going to show you all the new rules, so any rules that were created in the last 30 days, and any rule that hasn't been used in the last 30 days. And it's going to throw a violation if it sees that there's any unused rules. Now we can run this right now. So if I click execute, we'll run it against this current snapshot. We can filter on failed. And then what you can see is all the firewall rules that have been unused in the last 30 days. Now that may not fit what you're looking for. You may want to choke that down to like 14 days, or you may want to make it wider, like 120 days. What we allow you to do is we can duplicate this query. So I'm going to find it, right click it, duplicate to. I'm going to put it in a folder called Mike's Checks. And now what I want to do is my company is specifically wanting to look at and violate on any rule that hasn't been accessed in 14 days, so the network and security teams can go in and see what's going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that, and we're going to rename this so I know what I'm actually looking at, and we're going to commit this to the repository. Now, just like the other one, we can run this ad hoc if we wanted to. I can come in here, I can click execute. I'll see that I have a couple of more firewalls that are failing with rules that haven't been hit in the last 14 days. But we don't expect you guys to come in and run this ad hoc. What you can do is we can add this to our NQE verify. So I can come into Mike's Checks, add the query. So we want, I know I put 14 days. So I can find it that way, add it, we're not looking for any parameters. So we're going to name that. So now it's there. And we can see it already knows because it's pulling from this current snapshot. So let's take one and let's see if it's changed. So I'm coming up in here, take a snapshot. This is going to run for a few. So right now what it's doing is it's going out and it's collecting all the config and state data from my cloud environments as well as my on-prem environments. And it's going to take that, bring it into the platform, normalize it, run our math model on it, and then you'll get all the coolness with the forward math model that you would normally get. But we're also going to be able to see if there's a failure and if this rule set is still failing and not responding. Imagine having to do this without forward. You'd leave the firewall, you'd move on to the next one, and then all bets are off with that firewall. You're gonna have to keep going back, keep verifying over and over and over and over again. This, at every collection interval, you know you're working with the most up-to-date information that you can get from that device. So the collection is done. It's processing right now. And then once the processing is finished, we can go into it and we can see if that NQE query, if that NQE verify is still failing. Let's expand that out, jump into here. We're going to search for 14. And we can see that it is in fact still failing. And when we click on verification status, it'll actually show us exactly the device and what the actual unused rules are in it. And we can click into these and we can see exactly the lines of configuration that are that rule. So maybe something is misconfigured here. Maybe there's a port that's wrong or something like that that wouldn't be obvious just looking at it from a 1,000-foot view. And then we'll highlight also the security rule table as well as the access list addresses that are associated with it. Now, if we had a ServiceNow instance and we had it set up to create incident tickets, an incident ticket would be populated here. It would be put into the ServiceNow platform, and then the appropriate teams that would triage it and send it to the correct teams could now do that holistically without having to jump from device to device. Managing your multi-vendor firewall environment should not be as complex as it is today. Using a platform like Forward Networks, you always know exactly what's going on, exactly what rules are being hit, and exactly what you need to do to ensure A, your firewall rules are always clean and tidy, and B, there's really no extraneous rules that are just sitting there and not being used that could potentially open you up to some issues down the line from things that may have been decommissioned. I hope you found this video informative. If you'd like to learn more, you can head on over to forwardnetworks.com. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.